afternoon, my fellow aquarium scientists. Hope everybody is doing well today. Decided to go live today. Wasn't able to go live yesterday because I've been a bit busy, and um, a certain good friend of mine was like, "You should go live today, so that way I have something to watch." And I'm like, "Sure, anything for you, buddy." Speaking of that friend, here he is. How you doing, Scotty? Thank you for popping in. But since this is like a last minute live stream, obviously people probably don't even know I'm going live today. So we'll just give a couple of moments for anybody that would like to come on down to trickle in, and we'll figure out something to talk about because I really don't have anything to talk about. Unless anybody has any questions. Hmm. Scotty is asking, how long can live sand last with no live rock or no livestock? As long as the bacteria that is living in the sand have food to eat, which is basically your nitrates, not nitrates, but your ammonia and nitrites, they should be fine. If you don't have anything living in your tank, um, what people will usually do is they will supplement with straight up ammonia. Brightwell actually has a cycling kit where it's their beneficial bacteria with an ammonia source because you have to feed the bacteria, or just put a little bit of food in there that as it decomposes, it releases ammonia. Bacteria eats the ammonia, then another bacteria eats the nitrite, and it keeps the bacteria living. So as long as there is some form of organic matter that is producing the food the bacteria need, your live sand will be okay. Now, if they haven't had anything for a while, um, um, then you're probably losing the bacteria. And usually, you can tell if the sand is done when there's a bit of a foul odor. You shouldn't really be getting a foul odor from live sand. And to answer that question, if it is no longer alive, you basically add beneficial bacteria. So I would recommend Brightwell's cycling kit, which is their what's it called? Hang on, let me pull it up. Yeah, the Brightwell microbacter with their ammonia. It's ammonia, but has a particular name. It's like a quick cycle. Yep, microbacter quick cycle. So it's nutrients for a fishless cycle of your tank. So it just doesn't have ammonia; it has other elements that the bacteria need to survive. And so you would add that in tandem with your with microbacter. Microbacter Start XL. S. So XLF is freshwater, XLS is saltwater. And so you would just seed that according to the instructions, and your sand should be good. A lot of people do that to cycle their live rock to make their rock live. So let's say you're not using like carob seed life rock or something like that. You're just using like a generic like Marco rocks, right? Marco rocks doesn't have a coating of beneficial bacteria on it. So what a lot of people do to kind of help kickstart their cycle in their tank, so when they do set up their tank, they don't have to wait so long, is they'll put their rock in a like a basically a brute trash can. They'll fill it up with salt water. They'll put the rock in there, and they'll add the Brightwell cycle, a quick cycle with microbacter, and they'll change the water accordingly. They'll feed it accordingly until the rock is now a live rock. It has the beneficial bacteria already seeded into it, and then they'll take it out of that and put it into their tank, and um, you're good to go basically. So that's what I would recommend. But let me show you the thing that I was mentioning. So, oh, wrong one. Not showing that. Hang on. There it is. Okay. So this is the microbacter quick cycle. So this is basically the nutrients for to feed your bacteria, basically to keep them alive, since you don't have anything living in there to produce the waste that they need. And then if we go back, and if I can find the microbacter. Uh, Yep, Microbacter XLM, which stands for marine. So you would use the quick cycle in tandem with this, and you should be fine. I've actually used this for when I was working in the lab for our coral system. We used this to cycle that, and it did pretty well. Um, and this I can get in, Scotty, if you need it. I believe so. Is that the same as the API Aqua Essential? So in all honesty, I've never used API Aqua Essential. I've used Brightwell when it comes to beneficial bacteria. I just think it's better, in my opinion. Um, but I believe API Aqua Essential is also if I remember correctly. So I'm just trying to pull it up real quick. So AP, so I'm starting to get it. So API Quick Start is beneficial bacteria. Excuse me. Um, well, supposedly, it's supposed to help increase. It's supposed to help cycle your tank. That's what I actually used way back in the day when I got back into fish keeping. I'm trying to find. Hang on, let me do this. There we go. Aqua Essential. So Aqua Essential is a water conditioner, Scotty. That's what it is. It's highly concentrated all-in-one water conditioner that instantly makes tap water safe. So no, it's not the same as Essential. Essential is your dechlorinator, basically. Um, hey there, Zen. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. A 30 gallons from the second rock, it all used to be very alive. Just to be on the safe side, Scotty, I would just reseed it with beneficial bacteria, and as long as you follow the and what I would even recommend is to just rinse it out. Um, you want to make sure you get any detritus or anything out of there. It doesn't hurt, and then just reseed it, and you should be fine. Um, Maybe a stupid question can ask why nobody uses plain old ammonia with a fishless cycle. You can. Um, um, I just don't have it on hand, and what am I going to need a lot of ammonia for? Whereas the Brightwell Quick Cycle isn't that much. It's about this big of a bottle, and you only use it according to how much you really need it. It's already measured out accordingly, and the directions are pretty clear. And I don't want to fuss too much about it. And I like Brightwell, so I don't mind it. They actually have Brightwell actually has uh, something related to actually seeding your rock, or treating your rock, I should say. Let me see if I can pull that up because I don't know if they still make that kit. Um, Probably not. Yeah, probably not. But they used to have a kit with the quick cycle and microbacter to help with the to help get your live rock seeded or going, if I should say. I don't see it. Yeah, they probably stopped. Probably it doesn't exist anymore. But all you basically need is a ammonia source and live beneficial bacteria. So, if you don't want the quick cycle, if you have ammonia on hand, or you have fish food, just add a little bit of fish food. But you need the beneficial bacteria, and for that, because you're doing saltwater, it would be Brightwell's Microbacter XLM, which I think I can get in actually. Hello there, Nabokov. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, you don't have to use ammonia. You just need an ammonia source, and that's any form of organic matter that decomposes in the water. A little bit of fish food. If it's a very large system, I've seen people actually toss like shrimp in there, which I don't know why you would do that. I've just used food. I would just feed it a little bit of food, not too much because I don't want to overwhelm it. But as the food degrades, it releases the ammonia and all that stuff that the bacteria will then consume. Um, and it'll start to and you'll start noticing when you first start doing it. When you test your water, you'll see that the ammonia, you're starting to get levels of ammonia, right? And then ammonia goes zero. That's what you need, ammonia to go zero. But you have nitrites, right? That means there's a bacteria established that's eating the ammonia. Then you have another form of bacteria that is feeding on the nitrite. And so then in the nitrogen cycle, you'll start, when you test your water again, you should see zero ammonia, zero nitrite, and you should see levels of nitrate. Now, there's no bacteria that's going to eat nitrate. And so, how do you get rid of nitrate? You either do a water change, or you have something in there that's going to suck up the nitrates, which is basically plant matter. In a saltwater setup, it would be macroalgae. And freshwater planted plants. Um, but you still need to keep an eye on the nitrate levels, because if your nitrate levels are going up and there's not enough plant matter to take that all in, you still have to do water changes. So it's not an excuse for not doing water changes. Yeah, that is a good point. Oh, Sorry, chat jumped. Hello there, fish family. Thank you very much for stopping by. What is equal to a damsel? I will never own a damsel again because you can't catch them. And I think a chromis is a damsel. No, they're in the same family, but they're not a damsel. They're something different. Chromises are great as a schooling fish. So if you have a big enough tank where you can keep a few of them in there, um, I wouldn't get them. I think the smallest species of chromis, there's actually a chromis that I one day want to have. Well, let me see if I can pull it up. Uh, the blue reef chromis um, is an absolute gorgeous fish. Let me try pulling it up. Look at this beauty. Not to be mistaken by the blue-green chromis. The blue reef chromis has that black sheen onto it, which I just think, depending on the type of rock and corals and things like that you have it, they just pop. Um, but like I mentioned, chromises are schooling or shoaling fish. You want to keep them in groups. They just look better that way. I want to see what their size is, though. Because, Scotty, to be honest, the size of tank that you have, you're better off with damsels than you are with chromises. But also a firefish would do very well in there too. But you might be thinking about the because you got that 50-gallon or something tank, right? That's gonna be um yeah. So max size is 5 inches, so pretty decent sized fish for sure. Yeah, go away. Hey there, Dee Dee. Thank you very much for stopping by. I haven't seen you in a while on my live stream, at least. Hello there, Craig. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you are doing well. Yes, Scotty, water changes. I know you don't like them, but you cannot deny the benefits of it. Okay. You just don't like doing them, but you cannot deny the benefits of it. Hello there, Coral. Thank you very much for stopping by. Professor, what saltwater critter would you bring with you as your familiar in D&D? The seahorse. The seahorse is one of my favorite saltwater fishes. Um, Either that or upside down jellies, Cassiopeia. They're my favorite as well. Oh, there, Alishon. Thank you very much for stopping by. And I do agree, the blue reef chromis is a very nice chromis. No damsels, not happening. Well, there's a fish for you as well. If is the blue green not the blue green chromis, the blue reef chromis. Give them a try. I think you'll like them. And yeah, maybe get like, I mean, you can even. I think you'll be even fine with like three. If you can get like three of them as a start, I think it'll be pretty cool. 3, 4, maybe 5. When it comes to like schooling fish, I don't know. I kind of like getting schooling fish in like odd numbers. So like the minimum I would get are like 5. I don't know why, but I just think it does well. Just happened to catch me today. I appreciate it. I wouldn't be live streaming if it wasn't for Scotty telling me to. 55-gallon. Yeah. I think 5 of those blue reef chromises would be fine in there. and then maybe get like a firefish. I kind of like, believe it or not, I kind of like the purple firefish over the traditional regular firefish that has the red coloration to it. I just think they look a little bit more vibrant, in my opinion. But firefish is a great one. If you want something that's gonna stay on the bottom, like on the substrate, things like that, a scooter blenny is a good one. Blennies are also great because they will pick on algae. Uh, but don't get your hopes up about them. They are omnivores, so they aren't herbivores. They won't just eat algae. With algae, you're better off with tangs and things like that. They will definitely pick on the algae, like a sailfin tang. Um, um, and they don't get that big either, kind of. Um, what else in terms of fish? Um, Hawkfish is a great one. Um, and a lot of the fish I'm naming are like pretty easy category fish. They're not that demanding. Obviously, you got your traditional clownfish. You can't go wrong with clownfish. There's so many varieties of them now. Scotty says, "Show us a firefish." I'm not familiar. Scotty, you've seen a firefish. You cannot tell me that you've kept a reef tank and have no idea what a firefish looks like. Hang on. So that's the purple firefish, which I like, but your regular firefish, usually that you will see is with the red coloration. So something like this. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but let me bring this picture up. So that's your traditional firefish. But there is a purple one, and I kind of like the purple one. The difference between the two is with the regular firefish, the fin at the top here is pretty elongated, more elongated than than the purple one. But they're the same genus, different species but same genus. Mm, and usually people will have like either two or one or things like that. Um, when I set my 20-gallon water box, I'm definitely going to be getting a firefish, a purple firefish for sure. And it is a gorgeous fish. That is true. Just hermit crabs hunting down snails for their shells. I love blennies. Yeah, Scooter Blenny is a classic blenny. You can't go wrong with those guys. Firefish are the little gobies things that, with the tall fin, Scotty, they hang out with pistol shrimp. Well, a particular species hangs out with the pistol shrimp. Not all do. Um, that particular one is known to. That particular goby is known to dig in the substrate. If here's another tidbit for you. If you're keeping anything that digs in the substrate, um, when you're hardscaping your tank, put a egg crate at the bottom. Put your rock first, your rock scape first, and then put your sand on top. Because if you put your sand and then your rock, if you have a fish trying to dig around, the rock work can fall down. So you want to. So that's something I don't remember where I heard that advice from, but it made good sense. So um, when you're setting up your hardscape and you know that at some point you're going to keep a fish that's going to dig around. You want to put an egg crate at the bottom, put your rock on there, however way you want to set it up, and then put in your sand. Um, and then you shouldn't have any issues with rock falling because it's all already at the bottom. The sifting of the sand isn't going to affect it. And it's the same thing with like shell dwellers. If you're keeping shell dwellers and you have like rock and things like that in there, like hardscape, it doesn't hurt to do that as well, because with the shell dwellers, they like to move the sand around a lot, So just a form of extra precaution, if you will. I want a starfish so badly, but I hear 80% horror stories about them basically prolapsing their insides to the outside, or just dying and fouling tanks, or creepy shrimp eating them. Yeah, um, a lot of your invertebrates like nudibranchs, stars, sea stars, sea cucumbers, things like that. They can be pretty finicky. One of the most common and easy to maintain sea stars I would recommend is the chocolate chip sea star. They've been around for years and years, and when I first started researching saltwater husbandry, um, that was basically the first ever sea star species that I was introduced to. So something to look into is the chocolate chip sea star. But yeah, they can be a bit finicky. Um, Sometimes you even have to like target feed them. Even I remember I would target feed a lot of our serpent sea stars, or brittle stars, if you will. We had some in the lab, and I would chop up some silver sides, for, very small, like a little piece of silver side, and with tongs we would literally find where they are, and they're usually hiding underneath a rock or something like that. And then we will just bring in the fish close, and they would just extend their arms and just pull it in, and they'd be good for a couple of days before we would have to feed them again. So when it comes to invertebrates like that, just do your research. And if you think you're not comfortable with keeping them, don't keep them. Don't make it harder on yourself, because one, these animals are precious to us. We want to take good care of them, and if they die, you do get very upset, because you're like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? What's the issue? Obviously you start to investigate and learn from your mistake. But also, especially when we're talking about saltwater stuff, they're not cheap. These animals are not cheap, so you definitely want to do your research before you get anything related to saltwater. um, do your research, and don't assume that when you go to the store that the person there is going to be able to help you out very well. you know there are people out there that definitely know their stuff, but not all the time. So just keep that in mind. The chromis are not as bad as other damsels aggressive wise. That is true. Damsels are more territorial than um, chromises. As a matter of fact, there used to be a time where I would think that, oh, you would add the damsels in first to kind of help establish when the tank is still trying to be established. You would add the damsels in because they're pretty resilient. Um, but I never really knew about their temperament until later on, and then I learned that if you're going to be keeping damsels, you want to add them. You want that to be the last fish you put in that tank, because if you put your damsels in first, they're going to have their territories, and you put any other fish in there, they're going to go after them. And so, from what I heard, is that if you're keeping damsels, you want that to be the last fish that's going to go in that tank. Um, I'm not. I think damsels are really great, and there are ways that you can keep them well. But if you aren't into damsel aggression, chromises are the next best thing. They're just not going to be as small, so they're not great for like I'm talking about chromis. They're bigger than damsels, so they're not great for your nano tanks like your 10 gallons or 20s. Um, and for something like that, I would recommend damsels. They stay relatively smaller. Some species do. There are some species of damsels that get pretty big. Um, but chromises are definitely a great alternative, especially for you, Scotty, because you have a 55 gallon. I think if you get like I think if you get like three or four of the like the blue reef chromises, I think they'll be fine in there. No, thank you. Yeah, Zen, that's what he's referring to. Yep, that's what he's referring to, serpent sea star or brittle star. We had smaller ones of these guys, and they were fine. Our invertebrate zoology professor, she got them in, and so um, the aquarium, my aquaria lab, we ended up taking them in, or she actually just gave them to us to take care of. Um, but what I would recommend, Zen, is the chocolate chip. It is a large species of sea star, but pretty popular, pretty well known. But they do get big. But yeah, like I said, just do your research, and if you think you're not ready for them or you can't handle them, it's okay. Don't get it because the well-being of the animals comes first. Scooter blennies have a small mouth skin to mandarins, so you will need smaller foods for them. Yes, which you can definitely get small pellets. And they're also grazers. That's why scooter blennies are well-known grazers. So if you've got some, algae growing on the rocks or things like that, you will see them nitpick on that as well. um, but that's only once you have an established tank. Before that, you're going to be wanting to feed them prepared foods, and you can do that by, baby brine shrimp will be fine. I've fed them that. Small, very small pellet foods. Maybe you might have to crush it even a little bit, like the Sarah granule marine food. Sometimes I would crush it and then we would feed it. I would stay away from flake foods. They don't really. We've never really used them. We just use the granular stuff. Ever had a Royal Grama? Those are gorgeous. Yep, Royal Gramas are a great beginner friendly fish that a lot of professional saltwater hobbyists or saltwater aquarists will recommend to new people. Um, the Royal Grama basilet is its full name. So it's a basilet fish. So this is the guy. We actually have two Royal Gramas in the Florida Reef Tract exhibit at work, and I'm part of a team that maintains that exhibit, and we have two Royal Gramas in there, and we know one of them is a female because she has laid eggs on one of the rocks, and is very aggressive, and does not let anybody get near her. Like, she literally will bite you. And I remember my colleague telling me that the main biologist that does take care of that exhibit, she's been bitten and blood was drawn. Like, that's how hard that fish bites. This fish bites. So we know at least one of them is a female. Um, whether or not the eggs are fertile, we don't know, but we also can't really do much about them if they do hatch, um, which is interesting because I would think that you want to take that rock out and incubate the eggs, see if you can hatch them and raise them. We do have the equipment and tanks to do it, but it's not my call. Um, but yeah, Royal Grama is definitely another beginner-friendly fish that I would recommend to anybody getting into the hobby of the saltwater world. So Zen says, I'm still considering getting Mandarin dragonets, but from what I've heard, it's best to get a pair at the same time, but before the seahorses and make sure they aren't aggressive. So not sure. Zen, I would hold off on Mandarin dragonets. They are very finicky and very picky eaters. Um, you definitely want an established tank for them. And they, again, they're very finicky eaters and they do very well with live foods than prepared foods. Obviously, if you get an aquacultured Mandarin dragonet, um, they usually are more easier to feed prepared foods with, obviously, because that's what they've been fed their entire lives. But if you're getting a wild caught Mandarin, good luck with that. But they are a bit finicky. If you do want to get an aquacultured one. Aura, ORA, they do they do captive breed Mandarin dragonets. And so if you go to your local fish store that has saltwater aquaria, ask them if they get fish from Aura. Um, my local fish store does get fish from Aura, um, and they only do either Aura or Biota. Both of them do aquaculture, and usually the aquacultured or tank raised dragonets usually do well. But I would hold off on them until you have an established tank, and then getting them. I haven't heard about getting pairs. I've had people just have one Mandarin Dragonet in their system, and it does well. Um, but the Mandarin is a intermediate to advanced level hobby is recommended. It's not a beginner friendly fish. That I can tell you. And yeah, let's start with the tank first. Get your tank, get your filtration running, you know, get it cycled properly, and then we can talk about what you should put in there. I'd also have to get a copepod colony started before all of that. So it's a lot of delay to my already delayed plans to have them. Yeah, if you want to have a copepod colony, you're definitely gonna need a refugium. Um, that's where copepods usually will stay and congregate. They'll feed off of the macroalgae, like Cato or things like that. And then obviously through the pumps and everything, it'll just feed your system. And if you think you're running low on copepods, you can just reseed them. Algae Barn does have copepods. Reef Nutrition has live copepods. Um, but yeah, definitely, you definitely want to have a form of microfauna in your reef system. It definitely, or in your saltwater reef system, or anything that, if you have anything that's a filter feeder, also definitely is beneficial in that way. That would be my recommendation. Is if you are going to be getting, if you do want to have a copepod colony in your system, you definitely want to have some form of a refugium. And there's many ways of making an affordable refugium. Um, if you remember the fluval breeder boxes, right, the ones where you hook up air to in it and it feeds almost like a hang-on back filter. Saltwater aquarists have used that as a refugium, so they will put it they'll hang it on their tank, either on the back, most cases, and they'll put Cato in there or whatever macroalgae in there, and they'll put a little bit of a light on there to make sure the algae is getting light, and that can count as a refugium. So especially if you have like a small tank, but if you have like a large tank with a sump, you can convert the area where you would put your protein skimmer. You can convert that to a refugium, or there are sumps that have a dedicated refugium area plus a dedicated area for your protein skimmer. So you know the life support system for a saltwater system is there's so many combinations to do it. I hate the dams; they're such jerks because they are nice. Okay. Yeah. It's just so brown and plain. I wanted something with color, as the hippocampus erectus seahorses are often pretty bland in color themselves. Yeah, I mean, you can make up for it with like Gorgonians. I can't talk. Gorgonians. But keep in mind, if you're keeping a very colorful Gorgonian, they are non-photosynthetic, believe it or not, and you have to feed them with foods like copepods and things like that. Um, they'll usually bring that coloration for you. Um, um, but yeah, I usually the way that I think about it, especially with inverts, because I think you're referring to the chocolate chip sea star. The brightly the colored, the more difficult they're going to be to keep. Bicolor blenny is a nice species, color and interesting. Yeah, definitely. The bicolor blenny is definitely not my cup of tea, to be honest, Alishon. But sorry, I'm trying to share my screen so that people who don't know what a bicolor blenny is can see what it is. So that's a bicolor blenny. Another great fish for sure, but just not my cup of tea. I kind of prefer the scooter blenny, to be honest with you. I mean, look at that gorgeous fish. By the way, if you have a fish with like that big of a fin, that's a male. They use that to show off, and also to scare their any predators away. Because remember, any fish that is brightly colored may not be poisonous, but the predator doesn't know that. Because bright colors in the animal kingdom refers to do not eat me, I will kill you. They seem so cute and friendly. Who knew? Scotty, Biota has contributed a $100 gift certificate for the BCAS auction. They specialize in tank raised saltwater fish. Yes, they do. Yeah, Biota and Aura are two well-known aquaculture companies. Yeah, still intermediate to advanced level category. I would not recommend mandarins to beginner friendly first. Again, make sure your tank is mature, because it's not just about feeding; it's also about water quality. Uh, yeah, exactly. Yes, you're right. But again, it's like I mentioned, like I've never really seen anybody keep like a pair of mandarins. They usually just keep one. Um, got 2 projects to do on my stream tonight, and not in my usual spot. Will be fun. All 7 of you better be there. Yep, make sure you guys go to Scotty's stream. Scotty, will this be during Steam Fought or the Garden of Eater? If so, can't make any promises. Then showing her loyalty, Scotty. Tisk tisk. I'm ready to start whenever Usama is done, 7 Eastern at the latest. Yeah, I'm gonna be done by 7 unless people have any more questions, which I doubt it. Not many people here. Reef Nutrition has contributed. Cool. Hey, it's Tim. How you doing, buddy? Glad to see you. Tim has bought quite a lot from me, and I do appreciate it. And the plants are doing good. He's always updated. He's been updating me on those plants, those crypts, and I'm glad to hear it. And speaking of Tim, so here's another. We're gonna steer away from saltwater for a little bit to the world of freshwater. So I discovered something very interesting. So, and you may see the changes on Atlantic Aquarium's website. So Cryptocoryne undulata red no longer exists. It is actually Crypt undulata broadleaf. They're the same. So these crypts right here that I used to refer to undulatus red are no longer that. They're broadleaf, which is interesting because these are not broadleaves. But I digress. And I found that out by contacting Tropica because I asked for the tissue culture version of Crypt undulatus red because they don't operate as the potted variety, and they sent me the broadleaf variety, and I emailed them and I'm like, this is not what I asked for, and then they were like, that's because it's the same thing. And after that, I actually checked the website just to see because I was doing a little bit more research. Excuse me, and it was true in the 1-2 grow category. There's no Crypt undulatus red. It's the Crypt broadleaf. So yeah, interesting thing. I do love the people. Candelabra gorgonians, and they are photosynthetic from what I've researched. Candelabra gorgonian. Oh wow, yeah, they are. They are photosynthetic. The ones that are not are. Hang on. That are brightly colored, like reds, oranges, things like that. Those guys are not photosynthetic. We actually had a gorgonian at the lab that we discovered from looking at older pictures of it when we first got it as a frag. That it obviously grew, which means it's happy. That guy was photosynthetic. So these are gorgonians that are not photosynthetic, and you can see they're very brightly colored. You've got blues, you've got oranges, yellows, purples, and usually they're the actual polyps. So these guys right here are usually white. So that's also a distinct feature of if they are photosynthetic or not. Usually the ones that are not photosynthetic will have those white polyps sticking out to obviously grab, the food. So if you have something like that, keep in mind that you want to make sure that there is suspended food in the water column for them to feed on. If you're feeding your corals prepared foods like the Reflabs SPS Coral Grow SPS is a great food for gorgonians like this because they are related to the coral. Yes, Tim, we are talking saltwater today. I was just discussing with Laura setting one up. Well, I'm here to help you with that. And I've got stuff for you to use for your saltwater tank as well. Do they make saltwater crypts? No, but they do have macroalgae, so Tim could set up a planted saltwater tank if he wants. Salt kills most plants. That's why I wear so much makeup, so I won't be eaten by predators. Oh, Zen, you crack me up. FishTanks' link says there are 10 viewers at that time. Max 11, all-time viewers 31, participants 10, like count 5. Interesting. Hello there, Laura. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. Crypt and I have been talking shrimp all day. I mean, we can talk about Salawasi shrimp. Those guys are brackish. Speaking of which, Laura, I don't think I'll be able to go out collecting for brackish killies before the clash. I definitely will at some point for sure. And from my understanding, you don't live that far, so we can always figure out a way to get you those killies. But I don't think I'm because it's already September, and I'm currently very much occupied with the saltwater, the planted tank, because I got to get that thing running and mature enough by the time I bring it to the clash. So, speaking of which, I am the first episode of the series of the planted saltwater tank will be going up on the website on the channel this coming week. So I'm pretty excited about that. Uh, yeah, exactly. But I think they're starting to phase out the red, so it's just going to be broadleaf. Like my bamboo shrimp hands. I want coral, not macroalgae. Nice. Well, I'm a coral biologist, so I can help you out with that. Definitely got a list of easy to maintain corals. Opaiola brackish, Salawasi, very high pH. Yeah, but they're also kept in salt. Are they not? I know the Opaiolas are brackish. Speaking of which, Scotty, that's how you pronounce it, not the Oopa Loompas. Okay. Because with brackish and salt water, your pH is going to be high anyway. Um, unless it is fresh water and you're keeping like cichlids and things like that, and you would still use crushed coral to keep your pH high because of the calcium carbonate. And also, I'm going to correct myself. Salawasi are not brackish, so never mind. Ignore that. But yes, upas I know are. Um, so yes, I stand corrected. Usama, do you sell coral frags or do you have preferred online vendors you can recommend? Yes, I do. I can text you a few. I actually hope at some point doing a sponsorship um, with Fish Fam Link for like the online shopping spree thingy. I'm hoping to do another one where we will visit a online coral retailer. So just to bring some saltwater representation to the Fish Fam. But yeah, Crypt, I do have a few sources, online sources, if that's what you're looking for. But and there are plenty reputable stores in New York that have good quality corals too. I'm in Lancaster Club with Scotty. Cool. I can give them to Scotty, and then he can just give them to you. Tim, see if frags to fishes ships to you. They have cheap auctions on weekends. The store is near me. Cool. Yes, that I do know. Salawasi, believe it or not, I'm not too familiar with because I never actually heard of them until I recently did, and I was doing some research on them. But the Popaolas, I was familiar with the go shrimp or the amano shrimp. Those guys require transitions to salt to be able to breed properly. The amano shrimp, yep. Didn't know the bamboo shrimp also needed that. That's interesting. Why do I feel if he gives them to Scotty, they vanish along transport? That's because they won't, because I will also make sure that I get enough for Scotty as well. So that way he doesn't need to take yours too. But yeah. And I'm caught up. Dee Dee's back from running her errands, been listening while driving. Cool. Don't get distracted while driving. It's not safe. But yeah, so I think we had a good discussion. I do appreciate it. We kind of got a break from freshwater, talked about saltwater, which I'm, as a professional, that's my thing. So I do appreciate the saltwater questions. But yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, the reason I decided to go live today was I didn't go live yesterday because I'm very busy. There's a lot of things going on in my personal life as well as professional life. Also starting to get ready for the clash. Kind of rushing to get the macroalgae tank set up. I've got two shipments, two orders that I need to fulfill that need to go out tomorrow. For whatever reason, a lot of people, well, it's not a lot of people, I think it's the same people, but a lot of people have been buying the Dennerle Rio Zingu gravel. So this is a gravel that's popular for like biotopes and things like that. It's from the Rio Zingu River. So a lot of people have been buying that. And so I have to ship that out. But yeah, so pretty busy getting things ready. So you might not see me go live. I probably will go live one more time before the clash to basically announce when I'm accepting orders for pickup at the clash. So basically, when we get closer to the clash, the local pickup option will be for the clash specifically. So if you order something online and you hit local pickup, that means you're going to be coming to the clash to pick up your order. Obviously, if you don't end up showing and you reach out to me, hey, can you ship this to me instead? That's totally fine. Just keep in mind that you will have to pay shipping. Otherwise, if I don't hear from you, the stuff's just going to go back to is going to be go back in stock, if that makes sense. For local pickup, you do have to pick up the day when your order is ready. Where in this case, it would be the clash. But yeah, that's updates with that, and then hopefully once the clash is over, I'll be able to do more frequent live streams. Hopefully. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I should start heading off so that way we can, because in half an hour Scotty's going to be going live. So make sure you guys go there as well, Scotty. If you can share the link to your live stream in the chat, I would appreciate that, or anybody else who is moderator. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys for stopping by at such short notice. Scotty says he can go now. That's perfectly fine. Wait until I log out first. I do appreciate you guys stopping by on such short notice. Hope you guys learned something. Don't hesitate to write down in the comments if you do have any further questions, especially if you're a part of the replay crew. Which, by the way, thank you if you're watching the replay. I'm sorry you guys were able to miss the live stream, but make sure you hit the notification bell because that's going to be able to tell you when I'm going live. And I will see you guys around. With that being said, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week. Make sure you do your water changes. And yeah, bye-bye.